Hello, Paul James here. It's been 3 weeks since I've been on YouTube, so I'm back on. I just want to report that people have sent me emails asking if I'm still alive. I am still alive, obviously, but I'm going to fill you in with where I'm at. But I first of all want to say a hello to Sinead O'Connor, and I'm wishing her well, and to congratulate her on being so vulnerable in doing what she did and confronting the stigma of mental health, which is exactly what I'm doing with a certain segment of mental health, which is substance use disorders, substance addictions. And I thought her message was riveting, difficult to watch, as I'm sure some of the videos that I've done over the past 5 months for many people have been difficult to watch and accept, but it's the way that we have to go to improve the system. So Sinead O'Connor and the supporters that you now have, I wish you well. I'd love to chat with you if you're open to that. I have a few ideas that could help and assist millions of people in terms of exposing what we're doing, which is confronting the institutions that we deal with, confronting societies on how we treat poor mental health and people that suffer. And I think particularly that people that are open, it's absolutely disgraceful. And just to let you know, I've had some great responses and some real terrific people, including the people I'm surrounded by right now who are actually filming this for me, the local neighbours in Dresden, and Mike and Stacey. Just an example of when I opened up to them and just told them what my situation was and why I was down here to prepare for my next hunger strike. They couldn't have been kinder and more compassionate. And it's frightening to think that even your own friends that have ostracized or marginalized, myself and I know Sinead O'Connor, sounds like that's what's happened to you. So if you can read some of the things then that are on my own webpage, I think that would be hopefully helpful for you. But in essence, I've been on hunger strike 4 times over the past 6 months, and I'm preparing the audience now and for the institutions out there that know what I'm seeking in the pursuit of justice, that on September the 18th I'm going to do the next one, the 5th hunger strike. I can tell you right now, from my experience of going 26 days, I'm never going to last. I could never get to 26 days again. So, but I'm feeling good. I'm healthy, with physically healthy. And again, this is not mental illness as a result of doing a hunger strike. Because I ask you, if for the people that say that in terms of politicians or the people that are adversarial towards myself, what kind of brand of mental illness is hunger striking? Because, since when has telling the truth and exposing the truth been a mental illness? Because that's what this is all about with confronting. We've got to improve our system, and I think particularly with the most segregated, segmented, underfunded, most marginalized mental health issue or disorder is substance addiction. And for Sinead O'Connor again, who's watching this, substance use is inextricably intertwined with depression or anxiety, poor mental health, whether it's an illicit substance you use or whether it's a legal substance. It makes no difference. It's something you have to put in your body to self-medicate at times of your life that are riddled with distress and stress. It's the #1 cause of substance addiction. Anyway, I just want to let that message out there. September the 18th, unfortunately, unless there's a miracle of some kind of justice or resolution before that, then that's what I'm doing. I'm timing it for the next sitting of the House of Commons, and I want the parties, the Conservative parties, to confront, or the NDPs by all means, confront the Liberal government and Justin Trudeau and ask a simple question for starters. How could you not reply to the letter that Paul James sent you on June 26th? And how could you let that person, Canadian citizen, I consider myself an average Canadian citizen, But in the little industry, in the little part I've played in my life, through my life, like hundreds of other Canadians that have represented Canada, you know, I feel like that warrants some kind of dignity and respect to at least acknowledge my stand and what I'm fighting for, to at least communicate the Liberal Party. But instead what I've got is discrimination and prejudice from some of the MPs, the Liberal MPs, and some of the statements they've made. But I'm not going to mention them again. I've done it on a previous video, but I'm not going to mention it again because I'm going to do that in a different forum that I'm going to announce now. Because on September the 15th, so 3 days before that, and I want to explain what Confronting the Stigma of Drug Addiction is. It is, you know, the people that have said to me, and I got an email today from somebody that I'm not going to disclose because the person will be watching, and it's to do with an organisation about positivity and saying about being positive. Well, I am a very positive guy. If you're successful as a coach, there's absolutely no way you can achieve things as a coach and as a team without having incredible inspiration, incredible passion, which comes from incredible positivity in the approach to winning a title, to winning a season. So for people that are lay people, a lay person that doesn't know about coaching, that's you know, an incorrect statement when you turn around about saying about, you know, you have to always be positive and you can't be so negative. Well, I have to. I can't be Mary Poppins in terms of approaching what the dilemma that we have with addiction and how we treat people with addiction and substance addiction. So that's the difference with Confronting, is that it's adversarial. I have to fight. Sinead O'Connor, again, let me give you a quote from Dr. Tom McClellan, a preeminent voice on substance addiction and mental health. He's a qualified psychiatrist at University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League school. That when I was in conversation with him 5 years ago, he turned around and said that people like yourself, or like Sinead O'Connor, once you're open, once you're exposed, you can do, with no disrespect to these professions, but you can deliver pizzas, or you can wash cars, or you can drive taxi cabs, and there's nothing wrong with those careers. But to be limited to those, or you can be an addictions counsellor. And again, nothing wrong with being an addictions counsellor. My hat goes off to those people that sacrifice, but they have the passion to do it, but sacrifice tremendous hours in terms of helping people to get healthier and to understand what their condition is. But to be forced, because of being open, that those are the limitations that you have, is absolutely wrong. And it's what Dr. Tom McClellan said. It's why so many people in your situation get so angry. Also, I'll turn around to those people that are now using the stick of my Confronting. I'll use Dr. Heather Stewart, who's the chair of the Bell Canada's anti-stigma campaign, and I've actually got a quote from Heather Stewart, who knows and understands my story, and I respect her very much. Is that as she said, you have the right to be angry. You have the right to be angry for it, and that anger would not stay if this had got resolved. Anybody that is in the know and understands what the Paul James story is will definitely know that the injustice is there and needs to be resolved. So, moving on, I'm going to talk about September the 15th. On September the 15th, and by the way, I've been down here. I've worked at a factory, an automotive factory. Brilliant people there. I really appreciate their support. But until I get this resolved, I can't move forward. Simple as that. So on September the 15th, I'm going to now switch from being an advocate and actually be a business person and run a business unit, an online event, I'm calling it, exposing the stigma of drug addiction. And what that is, the difference with that is that it's for people that don't know what it's like to live. And Sinead O'Connor alluded to it and the way that she's been treated. Well, I'm going to be very, very specific here in terms of exposing the stigma of drug addiction. And I'm going to do it in format of 4 or 5 15-minute segments, talking about what exactly substance addiction is. Because what stigma is first and foremost ignorance. It's second, it's discrimination. They're intertwined. Stigma is discrimination. So with the ignorance, to improve the ignorance, we have to educate and we have to understand what this is all about. So I'm going to talk about substance addiction. There's going to be animation, there's going to be whiteboard information, there's going to be expert opinions, but I'm also going to narrate and I'm going to speak and talk about my story. Because as I've said before, confronting the stigma of drug addiction, what I've done here is I've brought out all the pus from Canadian society. I've brought all the pus out from the judicial system, or people that have a vested interest to make sure that the message is twisted. Then that's all come out, but I haven't even told my story yet. So for the people that have actually stigmatized me in such brutal ways, whether you're friends, whether you're former adversaries, or whether you're still adversaries, or whether you're organizations that stand to lose by Paul James receiving justice. It's incredible the amount of stigmatizing moments that I've had, and I'm about to expose them. But not to be, I want to move on, and I do want to be in that positive realm. But until I get there, I think the people like Sinead O'Connor, myself, and millions of other people across the country have to begin to fight back. You know, it's the way it is. I have no choice. I don't see any other options. I don't see anybody out there assisting or helping me. Similar to Sinead O'Connor, living on a couch, living in motels, taking charity from people. It's as humiliating as you could possibly imagine. And I don't accept it anymore. So if I come across as that I'm adversarial, that's what confronting is. The exposing is going to be educational. It is actually going to be positive. But in terms of doing that, I have to illustrate the most powerful. I'm going to have the top 10 stigmatizing moments on September 15th. And to balance it, I'm going to also have the top 10 destigmatizing moments. People that have actually been brave, that have actually supported me, that have actually gone out and stuck their own reputation and image on the line to say that this is not right and that this needs to change, and this was not what needs to happen. And even people in the past that have had a difficult relationship with. We all have, if over a lifetime, particularly in the footballing industry. You're going to make enemies. You're going to make people that have disagreements with you. Well, there's been a few people that have actually reached out and been supportive when I've contacted them for help. They've been absolutely brilliant. That will be the destigmatization part of what I'm going to do with exposing the stigma of drug addiction. It's going to be an online webinar event. I've already got 20 registrations. I haven't released it because I have to get the website changed, and I'm relying on somebody else that's very busy, and we need to get other technical people involved. But that's going to be coming very soon because I only have 30 days. But just to give you an example, and I just want to address, I'm going to go back that at the end, I'm going to mention some names that would be in that list of top 100 stigmatizing moments. I'm not going to mention what those moments are, but I'm going to mention the people so that you have an opportunity, these people, to actually register for the online event. And if you do, then you won't be part of that 100. And you know what? I'll have plenty of others to fill that. But I'm only going to announce the top 10 on the 15th, and prior to that, I'm going to release the top 50 to 75 stigmatizing moments, so that as society we actually begin to learn what this is all about. It's not just a word, it's actually something that exists. So let me give you one from my days with Oakville Soccer Club. So Oakville Soccer Club, you can make the top 50 stigmatizing moments, because how do you explain that I was an alumnus of your soccer club, Oakville Soccer Club, the biggest soccer club in the country, in Oakville? I played for Oakville Soccer Club when I first came to Canada, and we actually won the Ontario Cup in 1981 or 82. And then in 2008, at my worst moment, I was approached by the Oakville Soccer Club could I do a talk to your parents, to coaches, administrators? And I said, yeah, no problem. And I did it pro bono, because you're an alumnus club. I was happy to do it. We got a report from, it was a very positive report. 120 people came in, and I talked about universities in the United States and Canada. 3 years on, I come back and ask your club when I'm unemployed and have been unemployed for such a long time, can you give me some work? I spoke to your technical director, Dino Lopez. Can I get some technical training work where I can just come out? I was begging. And at the end of the day, you said no. That stigma, that's a stigmatizing moment. And Dino Lopez that delivered that, when I confronted him over email, he turned around and said, I hope you get well, Paul. And Dino, you know that, and I've tried to resolve with that with you. So what my point is, that's one of many stigmatizing moments, and they're going to be, there's going to be the other side, to make it positive, of destigmatizing moments. So let's say this home that I'm living in, and the reason I'm not living on the street is because of a guy called Kevin Turney that I've mentioned before, and his lovely wife Lily, who came all the way down to Toronto to pick me up, to bring me here. It's a home they're getting renovated down in Dresden, Ontario. That's treating somebody with incredible dignity and with respect, and to help them out and to show that they support. And he doesn't care about his own image and reputation. Bob Lenarduzzi, you know, I've had Bob Lenarduzzi was a teammate of mine. He's the president of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Look at the stigma of drug addiction across this country. It is absolutely, what's happened to myself is a result of stigma. Sinead O'Connor makes a great point towards the end of her message when she says it's stigma that is killing people. It's absolutely right. Stigma is killing people. Andrew Scheer from a Conservative government. When you go to the rehab place, it's great, and you do, and you say about going into the executive offices and to we've got to speak to everybody and find out what's going on. I love that and I appreciate that, but just know, for me and for millions of people that go into rehabs, it's a stigmatizing moment. It's self-stigma. You feel ashamed just being in the rehab place. And until we understand, until we decriminalize all substances and all drugs, so the Dr. Eileen de Villa, from the chairman of the Board of Health in the City of Toronto, was talking about we should consider the decriminalization of heroin, and backed by Joe Mihevik, City Councillor. Absolutely brilliant, you guys, but let's not pull the wool over our eyes here. When Joe, you say it's got to be a national debate, I absolutely agree it's got to be a national debate, but think about it. Heroin is already decriminalized. That's what harm reduction is all about. That's what fentanyl, when we're talking about safe ingestion sites, it's already decriminalized, right? Which is misaligned with the legislation that we have on a political level. But nevertheless, let's get it official, let's be decriminalized. But it's already because of the methadone harm reduction methodology. So when you say and other drugs, no, all other drugs, all drugs must be decriminalized. So now I come back to the Conservatives and say to Andrew Scheer and all those Conservative MPs, is that I'd be happy to sit down and discuss with you. And my first question is going to be, why do we criminalize any substance? You can never have success. You can never have a complete success with criminalizing. But why do we criminalize? Is it because of the crime that it creates? Is it because of the gangs? Is it because of the bad behavior? Is it because of, you know, the absolutely outrageous comments that somebody wrote about? And I'm glad that 1010 Radio took her to task for writing it, saying that, you know, you need tough love. No, you need a dunce cap. You need to wear a dunce cap because you have no idea what you're talking about. This is a mental health issue, and it's about time that we shake things up. But I'm saying to the Conservative Party, why do we criminalize the substances? If you turn around to me and say, this is what the answer should be, it's got nothing to do with the crime that it creates. I haven't created any crime. Sinead O'Connor hasn't created any crime. I haven't stolen. I haven't turned around and beat somebody or stabbed somebody or shot somebody. Along with 80–90% of people that have substance use problems, they don't commit crimes. And don't turn around and tell me that purchasing is a substance is a crime. That's nonsense. If you have a substance use disorder, the last time I checked, that's not criminal. So how does that work? It's misaligned. Now, if you turn around and say that the reason that crack cocaine, the reason that cocaine, the reason that crystal meth, and the reason that heroin are criminalized is because you actually care about the individual that takes that substance, because that substance will take years off their life that will actually really harm them, then I say, fair enough. That's why you criminalize the substances. But it's not what is portrayed in Canadian society, in other societies around the world. We leverage it and we then harm those people, because here's the problem that you have with criminalization and why it needs to be decriminalized, is that you add, to back up Sinead O'Connor, and which is my point for the past, past number of years, but certainly past 6 months, is that when you criminalize a substance, you add a juggernaut of stigma. The brutality of stigma is way worse than taking the substance itself. It's the stigma that's killing people. It's the stigma that gives the right for Oakville Soccer Club, for the Jason DeVosses of the world, for the Dino Lopez's. Let me give you a list of people now that I'm going to say to back this up as far as the stigma. You make my top 100 list, and there's plenty more. Stephanie Vecchio, Colin Miller, Peter Gilfillan, Terry Dunfield, Jason DeVos, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, KMH, the Center of Addiction and Mental Health. You make my top 100, and who knows who will be in the top 10 of stigmatizing moments. And Catherine Zahn, you know it. Sheldon Parchment, you know it. Your approach last year, Sheldon Parchment, for a social worker is going to be exposed unless, I'm telling you, I'm open. All these people I've just said, I'm trying to communicate with you. If you want to talk to resolve this, I can't take you to court. The judicial system has failed me, like it fails anybody else that gets stigmatized. Stigma is discrimination. Speak to the Harvard University professor that is an expert on stigma in all levels, and he turns around and says that it's discrimination, and it absolutely is, and I agree. The score, Sean Dockin. I'll address Sean Dockin another time, and I'll leave it there for now. Destigmatizing moments. Here's the people I have so far. Sharon Bierpark, Paul Pesciolito. Best player for me ever that played Canada is Paul Pesciolito. Loved him to death. Brilliant. Kevin Turney, Pavan Musavat, the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, the soccer player. His support is absolutely fantastic. Christy DeVries, Mike Pimentel, Phil Wilson from Ottawa. I love you, Phil. You've been absolutely brilliant over the years, and never have you let me down. Dave Berry. I'm going to talk about Dave Berry at some point. A shining example of how to deal with and destigmatize a stigmatized moment, which is what is going to be part of the September the 15th online, of course. Tracy Ballancourt, I've said Bob Lenarduzzi, and there's Justin Thompson, absolutely brilliant. When we did I did a private registration the other day with just people that I felt would register, so we approached them privately before we advertise it online. Justin Thompson, within a minute of it being released, just registered. You know, that's compassion. Those are people that care, and it's those people that should be receiving awards, by the way, because it takes as much as what this should be looked at as what I'm doing. Sinead O'Connor, anybody else that confronts it, it's courage. It's not, the anger is part of it to kind of penetrate the scapegoating that you receive, but it takes courage. Well, I'm saying those people that I just mentioned on the destigmatizing ones, that takes courage. These people are the ones that should be held up and praised. There are people that can teach others about what this is all about. And to Sean Dockin from the University of Coastal Carolina, and anybody that knows Sean Dockin, who refused to give out his cell number. Sean, you were a great friend. You stayed at my place years ago. I've done no harm. I've tried to contact you for the past 6 years, and you haven't returned anything. And now I got somebody to contact you very specifically, and you said, don't give him my cell number. That's stigma. That's what we're confronting. That's what we're taking on. And you conservatives and liberals and NDPs, each one I could name a member of parliament from each one of your parties that will make the top 50 stigmatizing moments. That's food for thought. Sinead O'Connor, let me blow you a kiss. Because I love what you've done, you know, and you've got plenty of backing. Millions of people around the world love what you are and what you stand for. So hang in there, and I'll be in touch next time. Thanks. Bye.